She graduated as an outstanding student at the Philippine Normal University, finishing with a degree BSc major in Social Science and minor in Physical Education in 1992. She was the literary editor of The Torch, which is the PNU's school organ, and the founder of the UNESCO Club in PNU in 1991, which brought her to the International Youth Conference in Jakarta, Indonesia, as a youth representative. Our speaker has, for 24 years, been a practicing educator, teaching social science subjects in the basic education and tertiary departments, handling principles of teaching and professional education subjects in the tertiary level. She is currently the 9th College Program Coordinator at De La Salle University, Araneta, which she held since 2016, and coordinator of the Social Studies and Filipino Unit at De La Salle Araneta University since 2005. She is an author of an elementary social studies textbook, a UBD module writer, lead reviewer, and a sought-after speaker in seminar workshops. At the moment, she is one of the board members of the National Coordinating Body of UNESCO Clubs in the Philippines, being the Secretary General. She is one of the GCED module writers sponsored by UNESCO this 2019, hosted by the Philippine Normal University. Professor Pedracio is very much engaged in several volunteerism programs, peace and environmental education since college to present. She was recently awarded as an outstanding UNESCO Club educator in the Philippines in 2018 for her promotion of education for all through night school delivery mode. She is a club moderator of the Junior Lasallian Volunteers of the Basic Education Department, which was awarded twice as an outstanding UNESCO club in the Philippines. Her work with the club was deemed as an invaluable contribution to UNESCO's Sustainable Development Goal of education for all. She is a very passionate researcher and extension worker, and studying between her work as an administrator and a teacher. Her activities in the community extension embedded GCED through a literacy program called Abacada Ina, an adult literacy program. Friends, help me welcome our speaker for today, Professor Alicia Andanar Pedracio, to speak on the topic, Mainstreaming Global Citizenship Education in the Academe.
Alam niyo po, natutuwa ako na makaharap kayo. Sabi ko sa ating professor na katabi ko kanina, si Professor Maggie, Professor Maggie. Sabi ko, ang high profile naman ang audience ko. Sana I will be able to give justice to my sharing today. Ano po? So it's just one side lang po. Okay lang po na doon ako.
Pwede po.
Pasensya na po kayo kasi mobile po ako. Hindi po ako sanay na nakatayo lang sa isang lugar. When we were trained as an Lasallian educator, we are not allowed to sit down. And we are to be mobile, so na to engage the students. Kaya lang po parang nakaharang yata ako sa iba sa inyo. Ano po? So dito pwede na po ba? Today, I was given the opportunity to share with you what GCED is all about. And the topic that was introduced to me or had been requested to me has to do with the global citizenship education for transformative lifelong learning and community engagement. This, my talk will go about the background of GCED, and on each part two, we'll be talking about the practices, how we embed and integrate GCED in the curriculum, also in the programs of the educational institutions. So we'll make it clear-cut po para pag umalis po ako, I was able to give you something that you can not just linger on, but you can embed in your teaching careers. Why GCED? As we remember po, GCED, which stands for Global Citizenship Education, it's the latest shift in education. It's a new direction in education. New po ba talaga? Actually, hindi po ito bago. We've been doing this a long time ago. It's just maybe a new name. And this is anchored in the SDG 4 of the Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations. And under this, the UNESCO, under the United Nations, have adopted this Agenda 4 of SDG as its focus up until 2030. Transforming our world, this agenda 2030 for sustainable development of the United Nations was adopted actually as a resolution by the General Assembly of UNESCO in 2015. That's why it was called Education 2030, the Incheon Declaration and Framework for Action for the Implementation of Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is the quality education. So it was centered or adopted in South Korea in 2015. And the institutions that really promulgated and implemented this is what we call the UNESCO APCU. That's why if you will be engaged much in the GCED, there will come a time that you will be invited to attend their seminar workshops and studies of GCED in South Korea, which will be headed by UNESCO APCU. So what's the purpose of UNESCO? UNESCO is very much engaged in education, scientific, and cultural. Ano po? So therefore, under education, ito pong agenda niya is rethinking education towards a global common goal. So yan pong target natin from 2015 to 2030, a 15-year program po. SDG, which talks about quality education, ensures inclusive and equitable quality education to promote lifelong learning and an opportunities for all. Meaning, diverse po ito, walang pinipiling lahi, kulay, gender, and etc. And to be particular for GCED, this was the SDG target 4.7. So this 0.7 talks about only global citizenship education. Global citizenship education, as I was mentioned a while ago, is not a new term. It's not a new concept. It's actually, it was just gotten from the transformative education, which has been part of the principles of education that we've been studying a long, long time ago. And this is what we need at the moment. Why? Because of the deteriorating values of people around the world. There are lots of issues that has to do with moral and human rights violations. That's why the United Nations have seen an opportunity to really engage people into transformative education, and that the UNESCO had adopted it particularly under the name of Global Citizenship Education. And the purpose is embedding or integrating, if not can be integrated, at least to embed it in our teaching moments. What are the learning contents of GCED? Wala pong bago, may nadagdag lang. So, ano-ano po ba ito? Learning to know, learning to do, learning to be, and what's really amazing with GCED is that we have to engage our learners to be learning to live together. Kasi ang nangyayari po, kapag nagtuturo tayo, especially, who am I? Palaging ang tingin natin, I am a Filipino. We don't look at the global scenario. So therefore, ang thinking natin, Filipino ako, Frances ka, taga-riyan ka. So, hiwa-hiwalay po. So, nagkakaroon tayo ng problema doon sa cultural diversity. And the problem had inferred a lot of issues, especially on human rights violations. But with the most understanding of how cultural diversity must be understood by everyone, then we will be able to eliminate human rights violations. The core concepts of GCED are the following: how to develop our students in terms of being a global citizen. One, we have to develop their cognitive, of course. This has been an approach that we teach the mind. These are the concepts. Two, we have to develop their social, emotional aspect. Maybe engaging is the key. And of course, it will change in their behavioral aspect. So ito po yung tatlong domains ng GCED. Develop the mind, and then touching the hearts, transforming lives. What's the aims of GCED for the learners? For cognitive, of course, to develop the understanding level. For the social-emotional, recognize and appreciate differences and multiple intelligences. For behavioral, we aim to engage our students to participate and contribute to the contemporary global issues. Hindi lang po issues in the Philippines. Sabi nga natin, what is happening locally can affect in the global scenario. Tama po? I remember in one of my engagement in our adopted community, when I went there for my Abakatan in a literacy program, sabi ko, asan ang mga tao dito? Sabi, nung secretary, nag-clean up drive po kasi sila ma'am. Really? So ano naman ang problema? Kasi po yung ilog namin, nililinis namin. Within Katmon po. Katmon is in Malabon. And Malabon is near Navotas. It's near Bulacan, Valenzuela, Caloocan. So thinking the vicinity of Katmon, napapalibutan po siya ng waterways. So sabi ko, ano naman nakita niyong problema? Ang nakita po nilang problema, hindi matapos-tapos ang paglilinis nila sa ilog. Kasi from time to time, lilinisin nila, may darating na naman. So ano pong ginawa niyang solusyon? Hinarangan daw po nila yung ilog between Katmon and the other barangay and municipality. So doon nila nakita, nung nilagyan nila ng barrier, yung palang mga basura na pumupunta sa kanila, hindi lamang nanggagaling sa kanilang barangay, kundi sa mga nearby communities. So therefore, we have to think locally, but we have to act globally. Kasi dapat pala, hindi lang Katmon na mag-isip na maglinis. Kasi nga, linis sila na linis, takbo naman ang takbo yung basura. So yun po yung thinking ng GCED. Principles and methods of teaching. Ito po yung sample plan natin. How are we going to embed GCED in our curriculum? There, in the first column, we have the topic. So the topic can be thematic po. Kasi marami pong topics ang GCED. We can just pick one and then we can embed in our lessons or curriculum or programs in our institutions one at a time. Pero ang target po natin, as I was mentioned a while ago, we have to target the cognitive, social, emotional, and behavioral aspects of our students in order for them to be transformed. Okay? So after the topic, you can adapt also the GCED theme. Marami po tayong theme dyan. Human rights, alleviation from poverty, gender sensitivity, environmental awareness, quality education, education, etc., etc. You can just really pick out something that is related to our mastery, to our subjects. Then, on the next column, we have to have the cognitive domain that has to be developed. Of course, that's what we call in the objectives, no? Na what we call the recall. Yung mga recall lang po yan under the objectives. And then the social-emotional is very important in behavioral domain. Usually, kung naalala niyo po yung pedagogy of objectives, sino po yung proponent ng mga objectives in lesson? Si Bloom's po, no? The Bloom's taxonomy is the father of the objectives or the taxonomy that we use in education. Ito po yung tinatawag natin level 1. Tama po? Which is the cognitive aspect. This is the affective. And this is the psychomotor. Ito po yun. So wala pong bago. Dinevelop lang into another context. And then, the pedagogy or methodology of teaching can be diverse depending upon the needs and depending upon our target objectives and assessment. So this is a model po done during our GCED seminar workshops. So pwede po natin itong i-adapt. What are the doorways of GCED? Ito po yung madalas na nagiging tanong. Sabi niya, ano ba? Bago na naman, GCED na naman. I-integrate na naman. Ang hirap na naman. Actually, what I am usually telling the audience or the listeners or the educators, wala pong bago. We just have to find out what are the doorways, in which manner can we integrate or embed GCED. And one of the doorways of GCED can be found, ito po, kanina naka-flash po ito, here, in the SDGs po. At kanina po, nakangiti ako habang nagsasalita si Ma'am Ami because this is actually your target, your university's target. At natutuwa ako sa sinabi ni Ma'am na you are gearing to research. Hindi para patulugin yung research natin into the cabinets in our archives. Kung hindi, it has to gain commercialism level. Alam niyo po, hindi po ako nag-iisip na yumaman or whatever. But in my thinking, bakit tayo gumagawa ng research kung paaalikubbukan lang po natin sa mga archives ng ating library? The Filipinos usually, tama ang sinabi ng President, pag sumulat ng research, just to get the point and be promoted. Sa akin, noong una, hindi ko po makita yung sarili ko na mag-research. Mas gusto ko po maging author. Kasi yung author, iba sa researcher. Ang authorship kasi, you create your own idea, your invention. So you don't have to follow a pattern because you want to transform somebody else's. In research, nung pong nag-aaral ako during my younger years, hindi ko po siya makita na attractive po siya sa akin. Kasi ang nakikita ko sa Pilipinas, bakit ang research dito parang hindi naman nagagamit only for the requirements to be promoted and to be able to graduate from graduate schools. Ang dami-dami nating research, hindi po talaga siya functional. At ang tanong ko pa, anong nangyayari sa bansa natin sa dami ng intellectuals? Because research are just being used for prestige, not really to transform the society. At yun po ang purpose ng GCED. We have to make researches that will transform the society. Tama po si President. It has to, our set of minds must be transformed as well when we write GCEDs. When we come to making topics with regards to GCED, ang dami-dami pong topic na makikita po ninyo dito, nasaan po yung puso nyo, nasaan yung point of interest ninyo. In my case, my point of interest can be found here. Because I am an educator. Hindi ako mayaman, but I can make a difference in terms of education. Which in education, kailangan i-streamline pa rin. So I found myself making a difference in transforming the lives of those adults. That's why I have had concentrated my work in the outreach program more on the education for all, adult learning education. Sabi ko sa sarili ko, wala akong magagawa kung ang pag-uusapan ay capitalism because I cannot serve all. But because I am engaged in a university and my university has the resources, I have my own resource which is my mental capacity, then I will use that mental capacity of mine to be able to transform the society. Of course, we cannot transform the whole world, but we can transform at least a little, can make a big change. Tama po ba? So, yun po tayo. Kung nasaan ka pong field, hanapin po natin ang ating engagement. Meron po kaming isang board member, ang form of engagement po niya ay more on peace and justice. Kasi po taga Mindanao eh. Yun po kasi yung need. Sa inyo po kagabi, naglilipot po ako dito sa Legazpi. Isinama po ako ni Mang Kweng along the bay. At nakita ko, ang ganda ng bay nyo. May nakita akong mga vendors doon. Ano po? Nakita ko rin yung mga commercial areas along the bay. I was in Boracay as well many times. My first time in Legazpi. Pero meron kaagad akong napansin. Number one, environmental concern. Nakita ko, may kumakain doon ng balot. Tinapon sa dagat. Mabilis po kasi yung mata ko. Ma'am Wen, siguro sa susunod, baka pwede niyong isama sa GCED proposal niyo, yung environmental awareness, yung magkaroon na po tayo agad ng program, yung health control po, yung mga trash. Kasi nakita ko yung mga tao nagtapon agad doon. Buti na lang balat po ng balot, natutunaw, pwedeng kainin ng isda. Pero may nakita po akong mga bote. Ngayon po, tayo as a university, we can help a lot. And it's very opportune. It is really an opportunity, very opportune po na gawa na po natin siya ng GCED integration. How to have a clean-up drive using the resources of the university, not your financial resources, but the